Ladies and gentlemen, there's a reason why life teaches us to look out for ourselves. Every time you extend a hand, make sure it's not left hanging. Every time you lend a shoulder, make sure it doesn't carry weight it wasn't built to bear. And every time you share the gift of kindness, make sure it's going where it's needed, where it's appreciated, not where it's simply used, because kindness, true kindness, is powerful. But it's not a gift you give to everyone without thought. Kindness is a rare and beautiful gift, but one that requires discernment to retain its true power. When you're generous with your time, your heart, and your resources, you extend a hand that can bring hope, support, and comfort to those who need it most. But there's a delicate balance to walk, because kindness offered without thought, without discretion, can quickly lose its value. Discernment is what separates genuine kindness from self-sacrifice that goes unnoticed, or worse yet, unappreciated. Knowing when and to whom to offer your kindness is a sign of wisdom. It's an acknowledgement that while your heart is open, it isn't limitless. People who give without discernment often find themselves drained, pulled in every direction by others who come to rely on that endless well of generosity. But just like any resource, kindness must be managed carefully. When kindness is given freely, indiscriminately, it can be taken for granted by those who don't truly value it. Discernment isn't about withholding kindness or becoming unkind. Rather, it's about placing boundaries around something incredibly precious. It's the recognition that true kindness involves an understanding of what's sustainable, what's appropriate, and what's healthy, not just for others, but for yourself. Discernment allows you to see people for who they are. It lets you recognize the ones who will appreciate and reciprocate your kindness versus those who will simply take advantage of it. Because there will always be people who seek out kindness not because they value it, but because they see it as something they can exploit. They see someone who's willing to help, to support, to uplift, and they take advantage of that, assuming there will be no end to what's given. Discernment is what draws the line, what protects you from being worn down, from being used up by those who do not deserve your effort and energy. When you offer kindness with discernment, you amplify its power. Instead of spreading yourself thin, you focus your energy on those who need it and who will value it. You create relationships that are built on mutual respect and appreciation. This kind of kindness is powerful because it doesn't drain you, it strengthens you, it gives back, it enriches, it creates bonds that last. So remember, kindness is most powerful when you know where, how, and with whom to share it. Because in that discernment, kindness becomes something more than a simple act. It becomes a force that shapes lives, yours and those around you, in meaningful and lasting ways. Protecting your kindness requires you to set boundaries. Without them, kindness can be taken advantage of and you can find yourself exhausted and drained. Boundaries are not walls to keep people out. Rather, they are protective lines that preserve your energy, peace, and well-being. They allow you to offer kindness freely, but on your terms. When you set boundaries, you're not saying that you won't help others, but you're saying that your kindness and resources will not be exploited or taken for granted. Setting boundaries begins with recognizing your own value. If you don't set limits, people will start to see you as a source of endless support. They'll lean on you without considering your needs or the toll it takes on you. But kindness is not about emptying yourself until there's nothing left. True kindness recognizes that you deserve the same respect and care that you extend to others. Boundaries let you protect your energy and ensure that your kindness remains a gift, not a burden. The act of setting boundaries also teaches others how to treat you. When you say no or set a limit, you're teaching the people around you that you respect yourself and expect them to do the same. It's a crucial step in forming relationships that are reciprocal, where both parties contribute and care for each other. Without boundaries, one side ends up giving far more than the other, leading to resentment, frustration, and eventually burnout. Protecting your kindness by setting boundaries also means recognizing that you cannot be everything to everyone. It's easy to fall into the trap of believing that if you give more, you'll be loved more or appreciated more. But that is an exhausting and unsustainable mindset. Your kindness isn't about pleasing everyone, it's about offering support and care in a way that's healthy for you and the other person. By setting boundaries, you ensure that your kindness doesn't become a source of stress or resentment, but instead remains a powerful force that nourishes both you and those you help. In the end, setting boundaries allows you to continue being kind without sacrificing your peace. It gives you the strength to show up when it matters, to be there for others, but to do so in a way that doesn't compromise your own well-being. Protecting your kindness by setting boundaries is an act of self-respect, and it's the foundation of healthy, balanced relationships. People will treat you based on the standards you set for yourself. If you expect respect, if you demand fairness, if you show that you won't tolerate disrespect or manipulation, people will take notice. They will adjust their behavior according to the boundaries you establish. Your standards are a reflection of how you value yourself, and when you hold yourself to high standards, others are less likely to take you for granted. The truth is, people will often push boundaries whether intentionally or not. They will see how much you're willing to give, how much you're willing to endure, and they'll test those limits. But it's your responsibility to show them what you're willing to accept. If you let people treat you poorly without consequences, they will continue to do so because they see that you've set no standard for yourself. You've allowed them to treat you as less than you deserve, and in turn, they will treat you as such. On the other hand, when you consistently show that you respect yourself and expect the same from others, people will follow suit. They will adjust to the energy you project. If you stand firm in your beliefs, your values, and your boundaries, people will recognize that you're not someone to be disrespected or used. You're not someone who can be easily taken advantage of because you understand your worth. Setting high standards is not about being difficult or unapproachable. It's about being clear with yourself and with others about what you need and expect in your relationships, whether personal or professional. People can only treat you the way you allow them to treat you. So if you want to be respected, you need to first show respect to yourself by setting those standards. When you demand the best from yourself, others will see that and rise to meet it. By establishing strong standards, you create a framework for the way you interact with the world. You become someone who is not swayed by external pressures or opinions, but who holds themselves to a higher level of integrity. People will begin to treat you with the same respect you have for yourself, and they'll know that crossing those boundaries comes with consequences. Ultimately, the standards you set for yourself are the foundation of your relationships. They shape how others interact with you and, more importantly, how you interact with yourself. The way you carry yourself, the way you speak to others, and the way you hold firm to your boundaries will set the tone for how you are treated, and in the end, it's your standards that will ensure you're treated with the respect you deserve. Being kind doesn't mean allowing others to take advantage of you. Kindness is a strength, not a weakness, and it should never come at the cost of your dignity, your peace, or your well-being. Too often, people mistake kindness for an open invitation to exploit your time, resources, and energy. They see someone who is willing to give, and they push boundaries, assuming that your generosity is endless. But kindness is not about saying yes to everything, and it's certainly not about giving until you have nothing left to give. True kindness comes from a place of strength and self-awareness. It means you are willing to help, to listen, and to support others when needed. But that doesn't mean you should tolerate behavior that drains you or takes advantage of your goodwill. Being kind doesn't require you to be a doormat or to constantly put others' needs before your own. It's about giving thoughtfully with discernment and knowing when to step back for your own sake. You can still show kindness and be assertive in protecting your own space and resources. Boundaries are a form of self-respect. They let others know that while you are compassionate, you are also aware of what you need and what you're willing to give. Without boundaries, kindness becomes unsustainable. It turns from a gift into a burden, and that's not fair to you or to those who genuinely appreciate your help. If you're constantly giving without receiving, constantly being the one who supports others while neglecting your own needs, you will eventually burn out. And when that happens, you're not just doing a disservice to yourself, you're also doing a disservice to others. You may not have the energy to show up when it truly matters, so while kindness is vital, it must be paired with boundaries. If you allow others to take advantage of your generosity, you're not helping anyone in the long run. You know that saying no is an act of kindness in itself. It's an act of kindness toward yourself and ironically toward others as well, because it ensures that when you do say yes, it comes from a place of strength and willingness, not obligation or exhaustion. Kindness doesn't mean being taken advantage of. It means giving from a place of power, understanding, and respect for yourself and for others. Value connections that are mutual and balanced. These are the relationships that bring true fulfillment and strength into your life. When both sides give and receive equally, there's a natural flow of energy, trust, and respect. Mutual connections are not one-sided. They don't leave you feeling drained, used, or unappreciated. Instead, they uplift you, encourage growth, and create a sense of harmony between you and the other person. It's easy to fall into relationships where you're the only one putting in the effort, but these connections are often the most exhausting They create an imbalance that leaves one person constantly giving while the other takes. Over time, this leads to feelings of resentment and frustration. When you give without receiving, it becomes difficult to maintain the connection in a healthy way. That's why it's essential to invest your time and energy into relationships that offer something back, where both people are committed to supporting each other, listening to each other, and growing together. It's easy to fall into relationships where you're the only one putting in the effort, but these connections are often the most exhausting. They create an imbalance that leaves one person constantly giving while the other takes. Over time, this leads to feelings of resentment and frustration. When you give without receiving, it becomes difficult to maintain the connection in a healthy way. That's why it's essential to invest your time and energy into relationships that offer something back, where both people are committed to supporting each other, listening to each other, and growing together. Balanced relationships foster respect and understanding. They allow both parties to share their strengths, offer support during tough times, and celebrate each other's victories. When you find yourself in these types of connections, you feel seen, heard, and valued. There's no need to prove yourself or constantly seek validation. The connection is built on mutual respect, and it becomes a space where both individuals can thrive. Value these kinds of relationships because they're not just about what you get from them, but also about what you can give. You're investing in a partnership where both people can grow and evolve, not only as individuals, but as a team. These kinds of relationships nurture your spirit and push you toward becoming the best version of yourself. The best part? When you're in a balanced relationship, you're more likely to see others for who they truly are, flaws, strengths, and all, and accept them in their entirety, just as they accept you. In a world where people can often be self-centered or transactional in their interactions, finding mutual and balanced connections is like finding rare treasure. They are worth protecting, cultivating, and nurturing. You don't have to keep giving to relationships that only take from you. Seek out and nurture those relationships where the exchange is fair, where both people are invested, and where growth happens on both sides. These are the relationships that will support you, elevate you, and make life more meaningful. True kindness requires self-respect and strength. It's easy to be kind when everything is going well, when you feel good and life is easy. But true kindness is about being consistent, regardless of your own circumstances. It's about choosing to be compassionate, generous, and considerate, not because you're expected to, but because you understand the value of lifting others up. And that kind of kindness comes from a deep place of self-respect and inner strength. Self-respect is the foundation of real kindness. If you don't respect yourself, you can't truly respect others. If you don't value your time, your energy, or your boundaries, others won't either. Kindness is not about being available to everyone all the time or sacrificing your needs for the sake of others. True kindness comes from a place of balance, where you recognize that your needs matter just as much as anyone else's. When you have self-respect, you're able to give kindness without losing yourself in the process. You know when to say yes and when to say no, and you're confident enough to set boundaries that protect your peace. Strength plays an equally important role in kindness. Strength doesn't mean being harsh or indifferent. It means having the courage to stand up for what's right, even when it's difficult. It means being kind to those who may not treat you the same way, without compromising your own dignity or integrity. It's the strength to offer a helping hand without expecting anything in return, and the resilience to bounce back when your kindness is unappreciated or misunderstood. Strength and kindness also means having the fortitude to walk away from toxic situations or people who continually take advantage of your generosity. Being kind from a place of self-respect and strength is the only way to offer true, lasting kindness. It's a kindness that doesn't drain you but fills you up. It's a kindness that doesn't come with strings attached, but with a genuine desire to make the world a little better. This kind of kindness doesn't require you to abandon your values or your needs. It teaches others to respect you, and in turn, it creates a ripple effect of respect and positivity. So remember, true kindness isn't about being nice at any cost. It's about being strong enough to know when to be kind and wise enough to know when to protect yourself. Your kindness is a choice, not an obligation. When you recognize that, you empower yourself to give with intention, not out of guilt, expectation, or pressure. Kindness at its core is an intentional act of goodwill that comes from a place of choice, not from feeling like you have to be kind to meet some social standard or obligation. When you choose to be kind, you are offering a piece of yourself, a gesture of goodwill that holds value because it is freely given. It's not about checking off a box or fulfilling a role. It's about authentically deciding to make someone else's life a little brighter. Too often, people find themselves being kind out of a sense of duty. They believe that kindness is something they must give to others because it's expected of them or because it's the right thing to do. However, when kindness is motivated by obligation, it loses its true power. It becomes a transactional act rather than a heartfelt gesture. Kindness given out of duty is often done without real thought or feeling, and it can leave you feeling drained, resentful, and unfulfilled. True kindness doesn't come from a place of obligation. It comes from a place of freedom, self-awareness, and understanding that kindness is a tool for positive change, not a chore to be completed. When you make kindness a choice, you can give in ways that are meaningful and impactful. You choose to be kind when you can, not because you feel forced to do so. This allows you to offer kindness in a way that feels authentic rather than out of some internal pressure to live up to other people's expectations. When you choose to be kind, it can be a wellspring of positivity, not something that leaves you feeling empty. You're giving from a place of abundance, not scarcity. You're filling others' lives with good intentions and love because you genuinely want to, not because you're trying to meet some unspoken requirement. This choice-based approach to kindness also gives you the freedom to decide where to direct your energy. If you feel like you're giving kindness to people who don't appreciate it, or if you're always going out of your way to help people who never return the favor, it's okay to choose to stop. This doesn't make you a bad person. It simply means you're being wise about where you invest your time and effort. Your kindness is valuable, and it should be offered to those who truly deserve it and who will appreciate it. You don't need to be kind to everyone all the time, and you don't need to feel guilty for not meeting every expectation. Choosing where to direct your kindness will help protect your energy and ensure that it remains a positive force in your life. Moreover, choosing kindness allows you to set boundaries and avoid situations that drain you. When kindness feels like an obligation, you might find yourself saying yes to things you don't want to do, agreeing to favors that only stress you out, or being overly accommodating to people who take advantage of your goodwill. But when you realize kindness is a choice, you can start saying no when you need to. You can still be kind, but you can also protect your own well-being by making the conscious decision to step back when needed. By doing so, you prevent burnout and ensure that your kindness is always sustainable. Choosing kindness also means that you approach people with empathy and understanding, but not at the expense of your own happiness. You can listen, help, and support others, but you don't have to sacrifice your own peace or self-respect to do so. Genuine kindness allows you to show compassion while maintaining a sense of self. When your kindness is given freely, it becomes a reflection of your true character, not a mask you wear to fulfill others' expectations. It's a way to share your strengths, your love, and your time with the world without compromising who you are. Another key benefit of choosing kindness is that it allows you to foster deeper, more meaningful relationships. When kindness is offered freely without strings attached, it builds trust and encourages reciprocity. People can sense when kindness is authentic. They can feel when it's coming from a genuine place, and they're more likely to return it. This creates a cycle of positivity where kindness is shared back and forth, creating stronger bonds and more fulfilling connections. So remember, kindness is not a requirement or a duty. It is a choice, a conscious decision to make the world a better place, one action at a time. Choose to be kind not because you have to, but because you want to. Choose kindness when it feels right and when you can give without expectation. And when you need to protect your own well-being, choose to set boundaries with love and respect. By doing so, you'll find that your kindness remains a source of joy, not burden, and it will continue to inspire those around you to make the same choice. Your kindness will have lasting value when it is given freely and intentionally.